On this episode of We're No Damn Experts, Rebecca and Madi talk about how to walk the walk and talk the talk with walking tours in Great Falls, Montana.
Best damn podcast, the best damn town. You wanna get up, get ready to get down. With its big wide sky and wild river Tame. If you wanna go, we can take you there to Great Falls, Montana.
Welcome to the greatest damn town in Montana, Great Falls. I'm Rebecca Ingham.
And I'm Madi Salahazard.
And we're no damn experts. We've proven that over the course of all of our episodes, so we're super happy to be with you today. We're back in our podcast studio.
Well, our podcast studio has gotten a makeover, and I think you can probably tell.
We should sound sexier than we've ever sounded ever in the history of our episodes, and that's all due to our new sales director.
Yes, whose passion is audio besides selling Great Falls.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, it'll be an easy fix. And it was.
A fella of many talents. We couldn't be happier to have him on board, mostly because he's taught us how to place a mic and talk into it.
Yes.
Which is new. They didn't teach us that in our YouTube research on how to start a podcast.
No, they didn't.
And he's added soundproofing.
And, well, we'll paint a picture for you. So as you know, if you have seen episode 3, we recorded it in our podcast studio. Rebecca and I are sitting next to each other, and we're just in a bare closet room. But now we have the sound blankets.
We have blankets hanging. We've got, so we bought a Pelican case years ago for our trade show booth, make it easier for me when I travel. Everything's in there. I can just pull it in. Well, it comes with all this extra foam. That's now spattered throughout the podcast studio, a.k.a. storage closet.
And then if you do finish the Great Damn Pass, which is on our website, you can be one of a few people that will win a T-shirt. And we have a sweatshirt and a T-shirt hanging up over our art. I'm saying Art Week because we've been talking about Western Art Week on them to absorb even more sound. So coming at you from the new and improved base camp.
You know, email us at podcast@visitgreatfalls.org. We'd love to know how much more impressed you are with this professionalism that we're delivering to you. We are still not experts on podcasting, but I think we've jumped it up a little bit of a notch here.
Oh yes. So we haven't been in the studio for a little bit. We have been taking on guest after expert. Few people that said they didn't want to be an expert turned out they did research and were an expert. It's been fun. But now we're back here. We're finally going to tell you about walking tours.
Yeah. So just to add to that, Madi and I haven't been alone in the podcast studio for almost 2 months.
Yeah.
So when we're recording with guests, as we've mentioned, the podcast studio just isn't very big. And so we'll pull all the equipment out and do it at the coffee table or our kitchen table is what we call it. And that's where we record with our guests. And it's been awesome because we mostly just, you've noticed, sit and listen and go, oh, wow.
Great. What happened next?
Well, and you're just so engrossed with the story, just like you guys are. I assume you guys are when you listen to us.
Well, if they're going to make us number 4 in Montana, then I know they're listening.
We know you're listening, so just engage with us. Email us, share it on Facebook, subscribe, rate, review, all the things you should be doing to tell everyone else about this really great experience you're having between your brain and your ears.
Yeah, and we have stickers and decals coming out soon. So when you do email us, say put me on the list. I want one as soon as they're ready, and we'll mail you one.
We'll even autograph them if you want.
Wow, we are such great hosts.
We are. But today, walking tours. And you may be sitting there thinking, walking tours are stupid, but you're doing them already.
Yeah.
And they're not. And I'm going to tell a little tale on myself. I love walking around neighborhoods and business districts at night when the lights come on so you can see inside the windows. You get to see that architecture. You get to
Creeper.
it's normal. I've talked to people about it. They're like, oh, yeah, we do that too. So it's really fun to see those old architecture for me and to imagine what it would be like in those days. What we want you to do here in Great Falls is actually do just that, but take some information with you so you aren't making up your own stories. The stories have already been created.
Yeah. And I'll tell a tale on myself. My husband and I have traveled and we love walking around towns, and we have a few attractions on our list. So we were in New York and we're walking and by this building, and all these people are gathering there taking pictures. I decided to ask. I walk up to this woman and I'm like, hey, why is everyone taking pictures of this building? She's like, oh, this is where John Lennon died. And I was, oh, okay.
Wish
So-
you'd have had a walking tour brochure, huh?
Exactly. Any other number of the cities I've been, I could have planned it out and not made up my own little lie or had to bother someone because she looked at me like, how the heck do you not know this? I'm like, because I wasn't prepared. But if you do have a walking tour brochure, that it will explain to you like, hey, this is from the mid 1950s and this house is cool because it's a revival of this English style and it has a historical feel. But if you're like me, you're now just learning this because we've done it all the time.
It's a natural thing for you to do when you're in any city is to walk around, stare up at the sky, look at the buildings, look at the houses, really picture what we get quite a few questions every now and again. People will stop in and they're like, what's the story with the Milwaukee Station? And we're like, oh, well, there's some really cool things about Milwaukee Station, but we used to be a big railroad area. And so then we share that railroad history with them. But how nice would it be to know right away? And you could do that.
Yeah, and then you would know what else to look for in the area if you already had that information. We drove recently, and railroads, well, what a weird statement to say. Yes.
We drove recently.
My husband and I were driving recently. We pulled over to a Lewis and Clark interpretive signage
Okay.
to read it. There we go. And they said that there wasn't a road south of Great Falls going to Helena until the 1930s because the railroad was so prevalent in our area. So that's the kind of rich history we have with the railroad in Great Falls and the Milwaukee Station.
So the Milwaukee Station still exists today. One of the coolest things I like about that building that I learned on the historic trolley tour was the sign up on top of the Milwaukee Station. And I get it. Some of you have not been to Great Falls, so you don't know what this iconic building is. So let me just tell you, in our skyscrape of Great Falls from the river, it's like the tallest building that you'll see. It stands straight up in the air. I'm sure our walking tour brochure tells us how high in
Don't
the air.
give away all the details.
Well, yes, you can find out how tall it is on your own. I don't need to spoon feed it to you because you are adventurers. You are explorers. That's why you love Great Falls. Anyway, the sign itself is always pristine. The color is always bright and it's always perfect. And you never see anyone scaling the side of the Milwaukee Station to go up there and touch up the paint because it's all tile.
What?
I'm not joking ya. It's all tile. So it never has to be touched up because it's all permanent colored tile that's up there to keep it in that pristine shape.
That's why when we did that video of a glimpse of when it was snowing in October and we showed the Milwaukee Station, you can still see that yellow and red pop through
Yep.
the blizzard. So, okay, tile. See, now I know this. And that's when I go to the Milwaukee Station or when I check out Rain Buffalo because it's right near.
Yep, it is.
I'm going to check out for this tile.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest things I learned. I shouldn't say the coolest thing. It was just a fun tour of Great Falls and get it on the trolley perspective. It was fun.
I entered downtown coming east to west, and we always pass the Crawford Funeral Home. My husband, like everyone else, that's a beautiful building.
It is.
Was it always a funeral home? If you go on a walking tour or look it up, you'll find out, yes, it was, because my husband's convinced it was someone else's home.
Oh, wouldn't that be an awesome home?
It would be. And then 2 blocks, maybe 4 down the road, there's the Masonic Temple, which, if it was built in today's time or in the year 2020, it would have cost over $2 million to build. That's the...
It's amazing to me how the dollar has inflated.
Yes. But that's the equivalent of what they spent on it in the 1900s was over $2 million.
Oh, wow.
It's gorgeous.
The number of historic buildings that we have through our central business district is so stunning. And the architecture of each one of those buildings, there's just so much detail. I mean, outside of the central business district, you have the gargoyles at Ursuline Center.
Yeah.
Featured architecture of that building, just gorgeous. And if you're not paying attention, you're not even going to know it's there. As we talk about the walking tours that we have just here in Great Falls, there are 5. 4 of them were done in partnership with the Historic Preservation Office at the City of Great Falls. Actually, I think it's a city-county partnership.
Okay.
It might be. The person who did this in the past, Ellen Sievert, is a historic building guru. When you talk to her about anything connected to the historic buildings, she can rattle things off so quick. And you can see that presence in the walking tour brochures that are available on our website, visit greatfallsmontana.org. You'll be able to see the attention to detail in the descriptions and the stories that are connected to each one. And the 4 historic walking tours are the Railroad Historic District Walking Tour, the River's Edge History Tour, which also talks about a little bit of Lewis and Clark and our mining history.
We also have the historic Lower North Side Residential Walking Tour and the Central Business Historic District, a walking tour.
Crazy. Now, our 5th walking tour is connected to the downtown art that is here in Great Falls and continues to grow. And that shares the story of the different art installations you'll find throughout the community. We also call it environmental art. Mm-hmm. We're not sure if that's the actual term for it, but we're coining it. So it's ours now. So see the environmental art.
It's our murals. It's the statues, metal sculptures along the trail. So
think of it as art that sits outside.
There you go.
In the environment.
We do have all of this on our website, but if you do need a printed copy, we'll print one for you too.
You have to come in and see us. You have to be pleasant. You have to hang out a little bit and share your story while you're in our town, what got you excited. If you want to lie to us and say it's the podcast only that got you here, we're good with that. If you're telling the truth, even better.
We'll give you a sticker.
Yeah, you wouldn't even really have to ask.
Yeah.
But the history that exists in our community that you can't see today, you can see some remnants. I think my favorite, we've talked about the River's Edge Trail a number of times in a number of episodes. And for anyone who's just joining and this is your first episode, the River's Edge Trail winds our community, 53 total miles on the banks of the Missouri River. And it has so much history connected to it. And more times than not, and we still have to do this. We have to find a mining expert to come talk with us.
Okay, yeah, we do.
But you see the old mining bridges. You see the old smelter area. You see where Lewis and Clark, one of them, encountered the bear. I know you remember which one encountered Lewis.
Lewis, yes.
Lewis encountered the bear. You see the history of the rail line that would bring the raw materials in from Sluicebox State Park. And if you grab or print or use your smartphone and take the River's Edge History Tour walking brochure with you, you're going to see those remnants as you walk and then be able to reference in the guide what those buildings are.
We do have a map of the River's Edge Trail and where to find the falls. And where are the falls is an episode in and of itself. But the map that we hand out to in-market guests, we always point out, oh, while you are seeing this falls, make note that here's a Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center. Make note that this is Giant Springs State Park. But we're failing to give you everything else, all the little historic or interpretive signage that you can know, hey, this is where Lewis had a really good day. He found the falls. He went to go look for more, and he shot a bison. Didn't reload his gun because he was so excited about this bison. And then there's a bear, a grizzly bear, and he sees Lewis and he runs towards him. The bear got the bison. So he had a bad day. So that's why you want to go see that. There's a mural, there's environmental art about this encounter. There's also a grizzly bear at West Bank Park to pay homage to this bear attack, near a bear attack. It's fun little history like this where you're going to get in a walking tour if you just do a little research beforehand.
And you tie the entire community together. Nothing that you experience in Great Falls happens by happenstance. There's always purpose behind kind of the directions you're going and how the entire community has been interconnected for years. We did a photo shoot, 2016-ish, so some time ago.
Okay.
And we did it up at Anaconda Hills Golf Course, which I think has one of the prettiest views. But truth be told, I've not golfed Eagle Falls. So I'm biased, and I'm admitting that. But one of my favorite features at Anaconda Hills is this big white barn that's on the golf course. And we have this beautiful picture of this couple putting or driving. I don't remember which one they were doing in front of this barn. And I just love it. And it's another one of those remnants from our mining history that existed. The Boston and Montana barn still standing today, still something you can see from the River's Edge Trail, and something worth experiencing and learning, because who knows when you're going to be at trivia night at Keller Guy's Pub and have them say something like, "What was the name of the white barn at Anaconda Hills?" You might win a beer.
We were at Keller Geist the other day, and we learned some bar trivia. Neither of us could answer it.
Well, I will tell you, I didn't believe Jolene at first. And so I went home and I pulled out the state highway map, and sure enough, she was right.
All right, so we are going to ask a question.
No, let's wait till Matt's and Jolene are here.
Okay, well, wait. I have to send her an email to schedule her for next week, but they're going to be in. And Jolene said that she wanted to block off 8 hours for the podcast.
And we're good with that, because if you've never hung out with Matt's and Jolene,
I'm sorry, but you're missing out on life.
you really are. We were there for a video shoot, didn't want to leave.
No.
They weren't even open. So they might have wanted to spend some time together as a family. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
We wanted to stay. So there are these walking tours, like Rebecca was saying about the barn that's still standing. I know on Central Avenue, if you were to do the Central Business Historic District walking tour, that's a mouthful. On Central, I believe by First Avenue, adjacent from Tracy's, there is a building, and the side of it is the stone, and it's beautiful. It looks like it was purposely done for this building in recent times. It's originally made in the 1800s. They used the material that was around them, and it was these stones, and they just stacked it because it didn't have the brick. It was expensive to bring in these materials from the railroad, even though the railroad is here, too much for them. And today, I know photographers use it to take some headshots in front of it because it's that pretty. It's that kind of nice background, and it's preserved.
Maybe we should take our next headshots there.
We will. We're going to time it better. Rebecca might wear a pink suit. I've heard a lot about it, but now
My husband says it's the best.
I can't wait to see it. But for those of you who are following along, we also have an approved lease for 15 Overlook Drive. So our operations are moving this year.
Yep.
So when we are not in a basement anymore, but we are in our own building, surface floor dwellers,
We're surface dwellers.
with our own deck.
Yeah, we're going to have a deck. We're going to have views of the river. You're really going to want to hang out with us. But let me just caveat this now. You're going to show up. We're going to be nice to you. We're going to hang out a little bit with you. But we're going to push you out the door so you can experience this town. We are engaging. We are amazing. I understand that. And you will want to hang out with us. But hang out with us on the podcast so you can spend more time experiencing Great Falls. Hey, unless you're spending a month here,
Come on down and we'll have some lunch.
yeah, that's good. But really make the most of your time here, and the most of your time not necessarily spent hanging out with us.
We've had guests that will hang out for an hour,
Yeah.
sometimes even more.
Check your email. That's great. We want you to do that, but also get out and experience everything that's here. So that's the preface. So when you see me at the 15 Overlook Drive, our new offices, and I say, you need to get out and explore, it's not because I don't want to hang out with you. Just I want you to fall in love with our city.
Yeah, exactly. Spend time with us on the podcast. And
So we had James Parker Shield on talking about the history of the Native Americans here all over the city, really. and spent a lot of time talking about First Peoples Buffalo Jump. Well, on the river's edge, James talked a lot about the connection of the Native Americans to the Missouri River. There is a 2,500-year-old Native American archaeological site that you can find right on the river's edge that has all this history and the tools and the archaeological finds of what was the remnants of the life of the nomadic plains.
So we're gold mining for the Native American history, and there's a nugget along the trail.
Listen to me, I'll tell you true. If you wanna feel better when you're feeling blue, ooh, get to Great Falls State and listen to Rebecca and Marty. Coming right back.
So did you like that? We used for the first time Joel Corda's Bring Back the Post to the podcast episode. I thought we'd try it just because mainly he sings our names.
Yeah, and we haven't got to do that yet, and we've really liked it when we sampled so much music with Joel on trying to figure out what song to use and how we want to use it. Even made them to a version that was a lot higher than he wanted because they sounded really cool, and ended up staying with the original.
Yeah, he was right. I'll give him that.
Yeah. He's usually, we did claim he was a music expert. So.
Yes. So, like Rebecca, I do like to walk around residential areas in towns too, because when I travel, I bring my dogs. They like hotel rooms just as much as the next being. So we'll walk around residential areas because I want to see what houses look like. I want to know the designs they're doing, if it's a cohesive neighborhood, someone's, a little off. It's nice to do. But knowing who lived in these would be even better because then I can have a little bit more purpose besides just running the dogs. And we have the historic Lower North Side residential walking tour. I think we need to work on these names.
Well, we could make them shorter.
Okay.
The house tour. And in Montana, you'll find a lot of historic home districts. I'm not saying just Montana. Honestly, it's probably all over the world that you're going to find these historic home areas. And I think what's really neat about some of them are you've got these big, beautiful, elaborate homes, and then these small, tiny houses kind of all intermixed. And really the history behind those kind of layouts is back in the day, you had oil execs or well-to-do families with these large homes, but they needed servants or people to work in those homes to keep them running. And that's what their smaller houses were. They didn't want to be miles and miles away. They were near those homes because that's how the ecosystem worked, if you will. So it's always interesting to see those layouts in communities. Some communities it's more pronounced. Ours has a lot of big, beautiful homes.
And one of the homes that would be included on this walking tour but isn't is the Vinegar Jones cabin.
Well, because it's in one of our other.
Is it on the River's Edge Trail? Because it's in Gibson
I think
Park.
I have it. I think I have it in mine.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I have it in the railroad district.
Oh, the railroad. So that was a small house. And I remember looking at the news article. It was fairly small, but the houses on either side were larger. But it was a cabin. It wasn't a house. Did you know, or do you know, who lives at 400 4th Avenue North?
Today?
Well, not today. If this is your address, I'm really sorry for calling you out. But it was our founder, Paris Gibson. He spent his final years in the 1890 Queen Anne style home built by his son, Theodore, who sold real estate and owned the original Park Hotel.
Well, the things you didn't know. And the Park Hotel is featured in the Central Business District tour.
Which is close to Keller, guys. It's across the street.
Yep.
And in the basement, did you know what they had? Not a podcast studio.
Oh.
A Turkish bath.
What is a Turkish bath?
A Turkish bath. Google it. I don't know.
Okay.
It's kind of maybe like a Roman bath style, soaking areas.
Well, I'm picturing big white pillars and big pools of
baths.
well, like a swimming pool, but smaller.
Yeah, that's probably what it looked like.
The reason I'm picturing this, so off topic, but there used to be a dentist in my hometown, or maybe it was an orthodontist, and his bathroom at where his office was had, had like an inset bathtub that was bigger than the city pool. And so he would always say, if you were going to go to the restroom, be careful of the tub. And you're thinking, why would it be that hard? So I walk past, I'm like, oh, geez, takes up the entire bathroom.
Okay, so maybe it's not that big, but I know it was in the basement, and that's where they had ladies that would entertain men.
Ooh, a lot of that seedy history in our city.
Yeah, and there was also some reduced lunch prices for people that ran the buses or railroads. So they would come, the people that were the commuters. That was before the Civic Center was up. That's when the fountain existed and people would come off. So the conductors and whatnot would go to the Park Hotel for a 50-cent lunch.
That's so nice.
I know.
Interesting history.
And you can find this out also on the downtown historic tours. There is a brothel tour they do. So if you want to go on the actual trolley.
Do the brothel tour. It sells out quickly. So when we get it up on our website, we'll definitely do a podcast episode about the brothel tours with Kelly Pierce, not Kelly Aline. She was already on, and she'll come back. But we'll talk about these trolley tours that, the brothel tours that sell out so quick. The ghost tours, another one that sells out quick. Mm-hmm. And so think of the trolley tours as a walking tour where you don't walk.
Sign me up. Because you meet at an establishment before you go on the tour, and it changes every time. So, hey, this time we're meeting at N Bar at 5:30. Trolley leaves at 6:15. Social hour, let's meet everybody. And then they start off and go.
Get new friends. The historic homes, particularly on 4th Avenue, we still have a lot of champions that live in our community that love living on 4th Avenue. Those historic homes, they take pride in them. I don't know if you knock on the door if they're going to let you in and give you a tour. I wouldn't recommend it.
I wouldn't knock.
I've done it before.
Not
in Great Falls, though.
Because the tourism executive director knocked on my door today and wanted to take pictures. She was going to market it and talk about it on her podcast. If you don't think Big Brother's watching, Rebecca is. So, yeah, 4th Avenue North is littered with hipped roofs with flared eaves and handsome Victorians that were built in 1893. And it's just one of those areas where you should go in the daylight, probably around sunset too, just to enjoy the area. And as we said before, we're Tree City, USA.
Yeah, we are.
So the trees help with shade, block some of the wind if there is any that day, but it's a cozy neighborhood to walk around in.
There's even parts of our city in the historic areas where the tree tops grow over the street and kind of connect at top. So it's like a little tree canopy as you walk.
Beautiful. Wow, we're lucky to live here. So
we are.
We told you before we were going to have this podcast episode. We now think that you should be excited about walking tours.
More importantly, go to the website, look at the walking tours, learn a little bit, get revved up. Because let me tell you, whether you want to do it in winter, we've had no snow, spring, which is absolutely gorgeous and green, summer, which is super warm, or fall, where you can see all those amazing fall colors as you walk around. A walking tour doesn't have to be scheduled. It doesn't have to be organized. And you can do it any season, anytime.
Exactly.
And they're super fun because it connects you then to the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center. It connects you to C.M. Russell and the museum there. It connects you to the environmental art. It connects you to the River's Edge Trail. It connects you to the railroad history. It's all there.
Connected.
Interwoven.
Like we said before, Great Falls is relaxed. You don't have to book it. You can do it yourself. And what I like about that, I remember once we did a walking tour in whatever city we were in, and we took our time. So we did get to stop at a bar. We got to stop at some shops and, do some shopping, some serious damage to the bank account that day. But we still were able to walk on our own terms, and that's what you can do here. So if you are walking around and see somewhere you want to stop in, you don't have to wait about holding up the group.
So when you're ready to start planning your trip to this amazing community that we call home, Great Falls, Montana, give us a shout. Call us, do your research, listen to more podcast episodes, visit the website. You're going to find amazing things. Also, we're redesigning a Basecamp magazine for you so that you'll have more information and more stories about our city. That'll be online. We'll do a major release party right here in the podcast studio when it happens.
And it'll probably, if we're in our new location, we will have an actual release party. I'm going to have,
Oh, yeah.
We'll
We're
have
going to invite you in.
we'll have a Keller Guys pop-up party.
Perfect.
Because Keller Guys had a pop-up party at Showdown, Montana 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
They do that now.
well, that's nice because right now it's Showdown, open, good snow, great skiing, but they do encourage you not to spend a lot of time in the lodge just for COVID safety precautions. So they encourage you to tailgate.
Yeah, they brought their own. We are going to get snow this weekend, though, Rebecca. So if you are thinking about coming to Great Falls, we'll have some snow in Great Falls and at Showdown. And like she said, we're waiting to see your smiling face here in Great Falls, Montana.
See you soon.
We're No Dam Experts is the recorded claims from Great Falls, Montana, covering what you need to know about this amazing damn town. Damn, that felt good.
On the next episode of We're No Damn Experts, which is not to be missed, Matt and Jolene from Keller Guys come on the podcast. We cannot wait to share this episode with you. We're No Damn Experts was produced by Great Falls, Montana Tourism with original music from the best damn musician, Joel Corda.